Hello and welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, then welcome. I have quite a different setup from the last sketchbook tour I had, which was for Inktober 2020. So let's just see how this one turns out. I ended up painting over the original cover for this sketchbook, and I painted the sunset. I'm not a huge fan of the way it turned out, but I mean it's not bad either. I started this sketchbook on August 6, 2020 and finished it April 24th, 2021. For my first page, since this is my first sketchbook, I decided that for each of them I'm going to start doing illustrations for the first page. So for this first one, I drew my main OC Zarya in one of those jars with their own ecosystems. I forget what they're called. On this first page, I drew one of my old characters, Acer. He is a fallen angel character. I don't use him anymore, and honestly I don't like him, but I mean, I don't know. For this page, I went up here to test what my sketchbook can and cannot handle bleeding-wise. It doesn't really matter because I covered it up on the next page, but yeah. And then I drew some Double Trouble from She-Ra because I love them. For this spread, I wanted to do a bunch of mermaids and witches. I don't hate it, but it's definitely not my favorite anymore. But I still do think that they are cute. For this next page, I did one of those blob art challenges where you draw a bunch of blobs, then try to turn them into art. And that is what I did. And for the next page, I decided to draw a bunch of hands using references from a video made by ADB Illustrates. I love him in all of his art, and he's honestly a huge inspiration for me. This next page, I drew some more old OCs. I don't know if I'm going to use them for anything, but I definitely don't hate them like I hate Acer. So this is Lyra and Mika. Lyra is a witch. I tried to use Sharpies to add her highlights in her hair, but they're supposed to be purple, but they turned out red, so now she looks like Sunset Shimmer, which was not my intention. On this next page, I want to do a character. She was supposed to be a pastel goth vampire, but I don't have pastels in my alcohol marker set, so she's kind of just a gothic-esque vampire character. And yeah. I made a bunch of sketches of bats in a very cartoony style because I really like bats. For these next couple of pages, this was my first try at making aesthetic mood board characters. I didn't make the mood boards for these characters, they already existed, and in editing I will end up putting them on the screen next to them. Here's some more aesthetic mood board characters. For this page, I wanted to try and do the 6 fan arts challenge. I end up really hating this page, which is why it looks like a mess. I purposely ruined it with the next page. I also was trying to figure out how to draw guys in my art style, so I did a bunch of references and thumbnails and stuff to figure that out. And so on this next page, I made a drawing of a violin because I play violin and I love it. So I made this watercolor piece of a violin. And next to it, we have a bunch of stickers from the musical 6 with the 6 main characters of that musical. I did pen sketches of a bunch of Steven Universe characters because I love that show and I am so sad that it is over. Then I have this drawing that I did for my art class. I had to make a setting for an exquisite corpse character that I made. And this is what I came up with. This next page is a spread of my character Zarya in a bunch of outfits. I did this for 2 more of my characters, but I'm not a huge fan of this one, especially compared to those ones. So around September, I believe, I started really getting into a feeling of cozy fall aesthetics, and I just desperately craved that at the moment, so I made a couple of drawings of nothing but that. Here is my first one. And then I did a watercolor splash of fall leaves because it's pretty and I like them. Then I did an acrylic painting of a pumpkin. This is just marker bleed through. I probably could have used this page for something, but I didn't know what. Around this time, I was getting really into the Addict music video again. I just randomly get obsessed with that song in that video, so I decided to make Angel and Cherry. Next is a couple sketches of one of my characters, Kaale. He is a shy, anxious demon prince, and he is adorable. Next, I drew Janice Sanders from Sandersides as a tiny. If you don't know what that is, it's sort of like a borrower or a gatherer. Just small human-like creatures that tend to be in stories where they bond with humans. On this next page, I tried to draw realistically from some references that I found on Pinterest. I like these top 2. Actually, no, I don't like this one. She's kind of ugly. I like these 2 girls right here, and the guys, we don't talk about them. Here's some sketches from 2 videos that I made a while ago of my old Among Us character. I don't use this character anymore, and I don't particularly like any of these sketches either. I have a few more characters that I use though. I like to make some videos on them, but I don't think anybody cares about Among Us anymore. This was a character I originally was designing to be a character I would use for animation, but I never once did that, ever. Thomas released a new video on this day, and because of that, I made the dark sides, because I love them. My friend asked me to draw her a koi fish mermaid because she wanted to get it tattooed. So I did a bunch of sketches to see something that I could do. I wasn't completely sure what I wanted to do for her, and I settled for this one right here. So I'm going to have my art on somebody's body, which is actually really cool. This was a sketch for my fall squirrel, which I will, for any videos that I reference, I will try to create a pinned comment where I link all of the videos with a timestamp next to them. If you don't see that, I gave up. Another one of my friends wanted me to paint them a picture of a dragon, so I decided to take inspiration from pumpkins to design it, and here's a couple of sketches that I got out of it. Here is a spread of my OC Sky. This is what I was talking about when I was talking about my spread of Zarya earlier. In comparison to ones like this, it's just super plain, and I really like skies, and in comparison, Zarya's is just extraordinarily plain. I drew some She-Ra characters because I love that show, and low-key, I'm obsessed. Then I tried to take some photo references and make them into a more cartoony art style that fits with my more realistic-esque art style. And this is what I got out of them. I like most of them except for these two at the bottom. They kind of look like a mess. Then this is some sketches of Zarya, some pencil sketches over in acrylic wash. I really like the way the look of this page turned out. It's honestly one of my favorites. And this is the start of me slowly redesigning my characters. I gave Zarya a haircut, and I added a magical element to their whole group. So now she has magic markings. I will definitely eventually make a video about these OCs, but I just haven't gone around to it yet. I wanted to make a watercolor drawing, so I took inspiration from a bunch of drawings that I saw of these really pretty plague doctors, and this is what I came up with. I wanted to do something more visually interesting with this page, so I covered up everything that was under it because I made a bunch of mistakes with what I drew. I don't even remember what was there, but I do remember hating it. And then I added a bunch of sketches of My Hero Academia characters and some of the Warner Brothers and Dot because I love Animaniacs, and when I drew these I was binge watching the reboot. And then this next page has some sketches of Raven from Teen Titans, some drawings that I made with Posca backgrounds and pen sketches, and then some sketches of some hands that I made. So this page has a lot going on with it. If you can tell, there's just a lot here. So it started with this. I wanted to make a drawing of my neighbor's backyard because I think it's really pretty. And then after it, I tried to draw more stuff here, but nothing was looking right, nothing was looking good. I was burnt out, so I ended up taking a break from art, which made me more depressed. So my friend talked me into drawing something, anything, and I made this little penguin. And then for these two stuffed bears right here, I was watching the Game Theory live stream for St. Jude, and it really just reminded me of when I was in the hospital getting diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and they gave me this little bear called Rufus. And that's where these two came from, because this is the bear I was given. And then I also just made a few small little vent drawings. Anyways, this next page is a lot less of a mess. I was trying to figure out my design for one of my characters, Blaze, who is also in the same universe as Zarya in Sky. I was trying to figure out his design because I've struggled the most with him while I design these characters. So this is what I came up with for him. He doesn't quite look like this anymore. He looks a lot better in my opinion. And so this is just him at that moment in time. These are a bunch of sketches for a community redraw for one of my favorite artists, Popcross Studios. I was trying to figure out a design for this character, so there were a bunch of sketches for her. Also more of that acrylic wash thing because I really, really liked it. This was what I used for the final version of her, and I submitted it. It wasn't used for the community redraw, but he did show it in the video, which was pretty cool. I made a bunch of sketches for stickers to make for my friend for her birthday. I ended up making a video on these actually. So I will try to link that as well. Here I was trying to design some Sandersides characters in winter outfits. I had made a drawing last year of them in a winter aesthetic, but I honestly hated making that and I hated the final product. So this year I decided I was going to do the same thing, but do it in a way where I actually liked it. And I do like the final result, which I also made a video on. These are a bunch of sketches for another video, oh my gosh, which was an aesthetic mood board video. This was actually the first video where I had more than one character in it. I never used that cheetah though. I never had a fully fleshed out idea for it and just never used it. I finished Deltarune when I made these, and I was kind of still in like the mind space of, I love this, I need to do everything with it. So I made a bunch of sketches of all of the characters and then made this sketchbook a mess by drawing over it with marker and trying to make it look cool. In my opinion, it just looks like a mess, but I've been told that it looks cool, so I don't know. Then for here, I was redrawing a frame from the game, and I really like this page. This is another one of my OCs. His name is Ash. I love them, and this kind of really made me realize how much I hated the first one that I did with Saria, because this one's just so full and full of his energy, and all of their outfits look really cute, and it's just, the more I do these, the more I hate the first one. So in my next sketchbook, I'll probably be redoing Zaria's. I did Invader Zim sketches because I love this show and I love this boy. Then right here, I got a set of paint markers. They're not actually Poscas. I forget the brand. I believe they're called graffiti pens, but they're acrylic paint markers, and I really like all of the colors that I got out of them. They do end up bleeding a bit if you layer them too much, which is why this page looks like a mess, because the next page bled through a bit. I was making a bunch of Among Us characters to get familiarized with these acrylic paint pens. And drawing these made me realize the Among Us art style is a lot harder than it looks, because you can make them look like this just by making what seems to be normal stuff, and it's just a pain. But at the same time, you can draw them sitting and it looks so cute. Anyways, on this next page, I made a bunch of sketches of my piggy, Apple, because I love this pig. She is the best thing in this world, and I love her so much. She used to have a frog stuffy that I gave her when she first came here. She ended up ripping it apart because she's a pig and they do that. But she did have it for a long time, and she really did like it. On this next page, we have a bunch of my Animal Crossing characters. I don't have a Switch or any other thing where I can play an actual game of Animal Crossing. I just have the version that is on my phone. So this is where all of them come from. A lot of it has changed since then. I'm constantly moving around what villagers I do and do not have in my campsite and cabin, but at the moment this was the most updated version. I turned a bunch of the Animal Crossing characters into humans. So we have Lucky, Bo, Cherry, Sprinkle, and Judy. I'm not a huge fan of this art style that I quickly picked up for a short amount of time, and I wasn't a huge fan of the outcome of any of these drawings, but honestly, looking back on them, I really like them and I think they're adorable. So around here, I was trying to design a character that I wanted to use for my channel. I was originally going to do a lamb because I thought this was super cute, but I want to make it a more simplified style because I'm also planning on doing animations with whatever character I decide to use for my channel. So this sheep lamb was too difficult for me, so I scrapped her entirely and came up with Sketch, who is now the main OC of my channel. He originally was just a normal looking cat. By normal, I don't mean actually normal, because he's clearly still humanoid and has 2 tails. I mean about his eyes, because he originally just had 2 normal eyes. And then I decided to change that to 1 swirly eye. And then I just stuck a bunch of random stickers in here because I have quite a few of them and I wanted to put them in somewhere. So yeah. This is one of my favorite spreads. Here I was working with a bunch of watercolor markers and was experimenting with them, and I think it looks really cute. Here I was doing the same thing, but with a pen sketch of Sketch. I was experimenting with my watercolors that I had just gotten. I had a new palette of watercolors and was experimenting with them. So I did this really cute lineup of my Animal Crossing characters, some of my favorites, and my Animal Crossing OC character thing. I don't know what you call them. And I think that it's really cute. Then over here, I drew a mushroom girl. This isn't watercolor, obviously. I made it with acrylic paints, and I really like it and think it's really, really cute. Here I was experimenting with trying to get better with alcohol markers, because for the longest time I have been exceedingly scared to use them. So I wanted to do a bunch of practice with them to work on them. So we have this goth girl with 2-toned hair, this little demon girl with an ombre hair, a little skeleton character, and then my main character Zarya, again, because she's just everywhere. I also drew Pie. Next is a couple of pen sketches I have of lapis lazuli. I was trying to do a repaint of a painting that I had made that I just don't like anymore, but I couldn't get it right, so there are just some pretty sketches in my sketchbook now. I wasn't a huge fan of the Animaniac sketches that I made on a few pages ago, so I went through and looked at a bunch of references of them to try and draw them better. And I personally really like the way they look on this page. Then on this page, I was trying to design another character. I don't think I'm ever going to use her for anything, but this is Luna. And then I did a few acrylic paint drawings here. I think they're really cute if I'm being honest. I drew a screenshot of my Animal Crossing cabin to try and get better at drawing rooms. It does not look the best, but I tried. Then I went walking around our property and around our neighborhood, picking up a bunch of random plants, and I taped them in here because I thought they were pretty. I don't think it looks that great, but it did when I first drew them. Then I wanted to redeem myself from my first 6-character fan art challenge. Why am I forgetting what they're called? Anyways, I want to redeem myself from that because I hated it. So I drew a bunch of characters after I asked my friends who I should draw. So I have Connie, Lotpunny, Heather McNamara, Data from Star Trek, Star from Star vs. Force of Evil, and Howl. I really like this page, especially compared to the other one. Yeah. Here I drew a bunch of Alice in Wonderland themed items because I got new fine liners that were colored and I wanted to experiment with them. And this is the result. I was watching Snow White again, which is an underrated Disney movie, and she does not deserve the hate that she gets from a lot of people. And so I drew Snow White and then drew a bunch of woodland animals. And I really like the way this page turned out. I drew a drawing of She-Ra with a watercolor background. It's supposed to be galaxies and stars, but it kind of just looks like floating clouds. I really like the way this page turned out. Then I did a bunch of pen sketches of some of my favorite characters from a bunch of different musicals. We have Beetlejuice and Lydia, Orpheus from Hadestown, JD from Heathers, the Squib from Be More Chill, Elphaba and Glenda from Wicked, and then Audrey 2.0 from Little Shop of Horrors. I really like the way this page turned out. I think they're all really pretty. Then I tried to draw a bunch of human figures in my own style, and not gonna lie, I really like the way this turned out. I got a India ink dip pen and wanted to experiment with it and get used to it. I really like all of the drawings that I did in this page. I think they're all really cute. And we are reaching the end. So here is my final page, which is a redraw of the first page. I think I've improved a lot in these 9 months in this sketchbook, and I am honestly really happy with this final result of the original redraw. It's not perfect. It turned out that the fine liners that I used actually bleed a lot, which I researched them before I laid this down. They're not supposed to, but they did. So it doesn't look great because of that, but overall I still think it's really cute. And thank you for coming along with me on my sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.